sharing my screen, so hopefully you guys will be seeing what I see. And we're gonna do some introductions as we go along. But first, first off, I'm Ben Turner, the principal. I think all of you know me, unless you're a new 7th or 8th grader, in which case, if you are new, you probably actually want to go to the other orientation, because it's gonna go over some things that you may not get in this one, okay? Here we go, let's see. All right, so this is our first ever 7th and 8th grade orientation. So kind of excited, a lot of different things going on, and we wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page. So first off.
Want us to finish orientations, introductions?
Yeah, well, I was gonna do that in a moment, yeah. Okay. First things first, if you have use the Q&A chat box on Zoom if you have a question, okay? So please do that. And if you need, si necesita español, por favor, va a translation at the bottom and click on that. All right, so welcome on Mr. Turner, the principal, and we have Ms. Jennings here, our vice principal. I don't think you get to see her, but she can say hi. We also have Ms. Suval, our 6th to 8th grade counselor.
Hello, everyone.
And we have Ms. Fosdahl, the 6th to 8th grade counselor.
Hi, everyone.
And then we have Ms. Vermoren, our TRP PTSO president, okay?
Hi, everyone.
So I really want to thank them for joining us today, and also thank all of you for joining us. So I'm just gonna have our counselors maybe just speak a few words, just to go over a little bit about the counseling first. I know they may have to run, so their emails are up here, and I do want to remind everybody that this presentation is being taped, so you can watch it at any time, but also this slideshow will be on the weekly bulletin, so you can go through and click the links and things like that in case you miss anything.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ms. Suval. I'm one of the counselors at Pollicita Middle School. And this year, we're going to be helping students with social and emotional needs. So if your child or if you as a student are going through something and you need someone to talk to, we'll be there for you. We're also going to help with academics and making sure that you're caught up with your classes, or if you need any help, we're going to get that help for you. So I look forward to this school year, and I'm really excited about seeing all students and starting the school year off great.
And then really quickly, I just wanted to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Miss Fosdahl or Miss Catherine. Both are okay. And I just wanted to tell you all that I miss you. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. And if you need to contact me or Miss Suval, we definitely reach out through email. We're also available through Google Chat, and we both have Google Voice numbers, so we can call and text you. So I look forward to hearing from you. Please reach out if you need anything.
Thank you guys so much. Now, the next thing I wanted to go over, and most of you, most students are aware of this, the weekly bulletin, but the weekly bulletin is really also for families and staff. And when you go there, you will see a running record right now of all the emails I've been sending and a lot of the information out there. So it's really important that you go there. Okay, I'm not going to click off there, but you will be able to go there. If you've not gone there yet, this is the quick link there. I would tell you that a lot of times the information is there before I ever send an email. So with that, if you have not received an email from me, you need to call the office at 650-991-1216, and we can take care of that, or you can email any of us and we will make sure we get that in there. I've been sending plenty of emails, so please, communication this year is key. If I were you, I would just have the weekly bulletin bookmarked and check it out every day or two. What just happened there? I clicked it. I guess I will show it. Can you guys see that? So this is all the links that are on the weekly bulletin. So you will see lots of things here. Please, the information there, read through all of them. Most things are linked. So it does give you a lot of information. If you have questions, please follow up with an email or a phone call. All right. So, big question, what's going on? And I'm going to answer all these questions. A lot of the questions that popped up were, what is the hybrid model? How long will we be in distance learning in the hybrid model? How will you decide when to move from distance learning to in-person or at-school learning? What are the cleaning protocols? What is the schedule for students when they're in distance learning and in person? I'm going to be going through all of that information. So it is something where, if it's not clear today and you still have questions, please call. We do want to go through them with you. If you are a parent or a student in the virtual school, this information isn't going to apply to you. There will be a virtual orientation, I believe, on Monday night at 6 p.m. given by the principal of the virtual school, Ms. Jennifer LaRock. So you can stay if you're here for that, but this is really for the hybrid model. All right, what is the hybrid model? So at this point, we're staying in distance learning. That means everybody will be at home until it is safe to return. The district right now has basically said for the first 6 weeks, we will stay at home. And then we will assess if we come back, if it's safe. Okay, and more on that a little bit later. When we return, students will attend school in person 2 days a week, Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday. Wednesday is a day where you work at home. And then students will have work on the days they do not have school. So if you were to attend Monday, Thursday, you would have work at home for Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay. I'm not going to be going too much into the in-person learning, but probably focusing more on the distance learning since that's where we're at now. And we can always update that within the first 6 weeks of school as we go. But the key here is we want to be safe. And we can go between distance and in person depending on the conditions. If things are going really great and there's no transmission and low incidences of COVID-19 in Daly City and San Mateo County and San Francisco, then we can come back in person. If that's not the case, then we can stay at home. Okay, so it will be a fluid situation. And as always, we will communicate via email and phone messages. So how long will we be in distance learning for the hybrid model? I'm going to be honest, this depends on the health conditions. Right now, there are guidelines in the San Mateo County Pandemic Recovery Framework, and the link is here. You can click on that. But basically, it says we have to be 14 days off of the state watch list. Currently, San Mateo County was added, I believe, last week or so to the state watch list. So once we get out of that, then it's 14 days, and then we assess whether we are coming back. It does not guarantee we are coming back in person, but we will assess it, okay? We want to be able to effectively implement hygiene protocols, physical distancing, and cleaning and disinfecting practices. It is key that if you were to return to school, that you are safe as can be, okay? We will also implement efficient but effective health and temperature screenings for students, staff, and visitors who come on campus. If you have come on campus recently, you might have just had your temperature taken, and that is happening in a lot of different places like restaurants and other things. All right. How will you decide when to move from distance learning to in-person or at-school learning? So once again, we have 14 days off the state watch list. Then our district will be in consultation with the governing board, the San Mateo County Office of Education, and the San Mateo County Health Director regarding any changes from distance to in-person learning, okay? It is not a decision that we will make lightly. We want to ensure that everybody is safe and that we can adequately and clean so that you are safe. So a lot of questions that popped up. What are the cleaning protocols? So, and what are the protocols in general to keep kids safe? So we will follow any of the protocols given by the state of California, the California Department of Education, and the CDC. Okay, and sometimes they change. So I know that, people have questions about like, well, what if we go with the guidance at that moment? And a few weeks ago, it wasn't, we had to be 14 days off the watch list. That was implemented by Governor Newsom. Okay, so a few of the things are a temperature check taken on every student and staff member daily, cleaning of desks in between classes. This is if we return. Cleaning of high touch points throughout the day, cleaning of restrooms throughout the day, and a thorough cleaning and disinfecting every night. Just hoping that translation's keeping up, but I just want to say, thank you to all the Spanish-speaking families that are attending, and thank you for being our inaugural run of our translation via Zoom. All right, now getting to sort of the nitty-gritty. We will be taking attendance here at school, even when you're at home. So I know that may be a little different for 7th and 8th graders, where last year it was, we wanted you to attend, but it wasn't required. You do need to have your computer on, attend the class, advisory is one of them, and all of your class periods. You are expected to stay for that whole class period. You are expected to leave your video on so we know that you're there during that period. Obviously, if something happens and you had to turn it off, not a big deal, but for the majority of the time, your cameras should be on. Okay? Now, when I do show you a schedule, you will see that when you have 4th or 5th period lunch, you have time to work. No attendance is taken. It's a little different because when you're at home, you still have there is a 4th period class. That's a time for your teacher to get it prep time. And just say if you have 4th period lunch, it's time for you to make up some of your work because lunch is actually built in at the end of the day. The schedule is set up like this so that when we return to school, we can easily transition back into a regular schedule. Now, got a lot of questions about how do you get your schedule? So student schedules will be posted on Monday, 8/17, hopefully. I believe we will be ready, but sometimes all the middle school schedules go live at the same time. And so if the other middle schools are not ready, we may have to postpone that, but hopefully it'll be up and posted on Monday by Monday evening. Okay, you will be able to see them in the student or parent portal. I have a link here. It's also an email I sent out. It's on the weekly bulletin, but it gives you information if you're a parent, how to go if you don't have an account. Okay, and we know that a lot of our 7th and 8th grade families, you went through the school to home training and you didn't sign up for your parent view. It is more important than ever to make sure you do that because you can also review all your information. All report cards are up there. You have the teacher's information. It's really useful. Okay. So 7th and 8th graders, you should have your login information. If you're emailing us or just say you forgot, have your parents email us and we will send them your information. If you are a new student, because I know there may be some hanging out in this orientation, we are asking that you will sign up to come in on Monday or Tuesday of next week, and we will have a printout of your login information. All right. So now we're looking at a schedule for distance learning. Okay. And in this schedule, I'm going to go through it a little bit. Okay. What we start out with every single day is an advisory class. That is it will actually be for most of you, if not all, your first period class. So that teacher in your advisory is your first period teacher, and they're going to be your main point of contact for anything that you need. That means if just say like, oh, I don't know what my math homework is, and you're with your social studies teacher in your advisory, your advisory teacher can help you talk to your other classmates in the class because you all have the same classes and coordinate some help for you maybe there, or talk to the teacher or help you craft an email to the teacher. Okay, we want to make sure that this year that every day you check in at advisory, you're there and you get the help that you need in case you need it. Our counselors were on earlier and maybe you're having some problems and you need to talk to somebody. They can help coordinate you, and maybe if you don't know how to send a chat or anything like that to one of the counselors, that they can help you with that. Okay, I'm going to run through Monday and then we'll go through Tuesday. It's a little different than what we used to do, which is have 8 periods in a day. What we have is we have advisory. It is mandatory. Then you get about a 5-minute break. Maybe you go to the restroom, maybe you grab something to drink, or get your work together. And then you have first period class. It is an hour long. Now, your teacher might not be teaching for the whole hour. They may give you something to do and you can come back in and check in with them, but you are expected to be there working for the entire hour. Then you have another passing period or break, and then you go to third period. Notice it doesn't go first, second, it goes first, third. Then you have a break, and then fifth period. If fifth period you have a class, you will attend it. If you have lunch, you have time to work on things. Now, your teachers will be giving you work to do outside of class. The reason for that is we do not have classes on Wednesday, and we, because of the state, have to meet certain instructional minute guidelines. So your teachers will be assigning up to 240 minutes of work for Wednesday, and also a little extra here to make up for the period that you have off. Okay, so you will have time to work on that here and also on Wednesdays. Okay, then you go passing period, then seventh period. And then when it comes to lunch, you are off when you're, when you're at home, you are off and you can eat lunch. When we're on campus, we'll talk about that, how that works. And then in the afternoon, you get to finish any unfinished work. Now, I will tell you that if you do need a lunch, and I'll go over this a little bit later, and you needed a school lunch, we will be doing school lunches on, we'll be doing school lunches on Tuesday and Thursday here, where you will pick up them. I'll go over that a little bit later, but the pickup goes until 2 p.m. That's, I believe, they're finalizing that. So hopefully if you're done and you needed to pick up lunches on Tuesdays or Thursdays, you would be able to do that. You do have to pay for lunches unless you get a free lunch. If you have reduced price, you pay reduced price. On Tuesday, it would be similar. You would start out with your advisory, which is actually your first period teacher, and then you would go to second period, fourth, sixth, eighth. Each of these classes would have a different Zoom, and we're going to go, I will be sending out those links as the teachers set up their Zooms, but you will have those. And most of you already, 7th and 8th graders, know how to join Google Classroom and Seesaw. So some of this should be fairly familiar with you with how to go there. But for the first few days, we will be going over a lot of that and making sure you can get in. But the point person for all of you will be your advisory teacher. Okay. On Wednesdays, your teachers might say to you, today on Wednesday, you need a little extra help. So between 10 and 10:30, I'm going to have this group of 5 to 10 kids working here on Zoom, and I need you to attend. If they ask you to go, they will be taking attendance, and you do need to attend. It is really key that if we are trying to provide extra support, because some of the questions that had come up were about support. How do we provide that? Wednesdays is one of those days. It's possible if you are really struggling that you could have 3 or 4 meetings on that day. One for reading language arts, one for math, one for social studies, one for science. And that would be really key for you to go get that extra help. We will also be having some after-school programs, or an after-school program, which will help with that, with some extra tutoring. So whenever there are opportunities, you want to make sure that you do that. And you will see we did give a tentative schedule. There is still work to be done. There should be about 4 hours worth of work for students to do on Wednesdays. Then on Thursday and Friday, we basically repeat Monday and Tuesday. Now, this one I'm not going to go over so much, just really quickly. You will see that basically, if you think about your class that you're going to be in now, at distance has 30 people. And what we will do, because we have to be able to physically distance you, and most of you are familiar with that term now, keep you 6 feet away from others, we will have you separated into cohort A or cohort B. If you are in cohort A, you will go on Mondays and Thursdays in school. This is for in-person learning. If you are in cohort B, you will go Tuesday and Friday. So on Wednesday, you will see everybody from home, from distance, does have an advisory. We will talk about this more when we get there, which group you'd be in, and coordinating with all the elementary schools. If you have siblings, we want to make sure that you are together, okay? But we have plenty of time to work on that. We're working on other things. Question comes up of, I have 5th period lunch. What happens? Or I have 4th period lunch, okay? If you have 5th period lunch, you would actually leave on this day, Monday, if you're in cohort A, at 12 noon. That helps us with staggering the dismissal because we don't want large groups of students to congregate. And we know that that will be hard for our students, especially because they miss seeing one another. Similarly, if you had 4th period lunch and a 5th period class, on Thursday, you would leave at noon, okay? Don't worry about that. If you don't 100% get it, you can always call, but that is something we're going to look at a little bit later in the year and explain many, many times. All right. So if you are a 7th or 8th grader and you turned in your Chromebook, because I've had a student walk in today, you need to come in on Monday or Tuesday to pick it up. Miss Jennings will be sending out a sign up. Make sure you sign up, and then you can pick it up. If your computer broke or is having problems, sign up when Miss Jennings sends it out, and then we will exchange it for you. Okay, we will pass out a loaner. Okay.
I can speak on that real quick, Mr. Turner, if you want to take a deep breath.
Yes.
So my goal is to get the sign up list out tomorrow. If you do not get the sign up list by the evening, please call the office on Friday morning. That means there was some miscommunication or we don't have your email correct. Like Mr. Turner said, on the sign up list, we do encourage everyone to come in. There will be some school supplies. We can make copies of your sign-in information and also trade out Chromebooks if you have a need for that. So please sign up for one time for either next Monday or Tuesday. And once again, that link should be coming to your email by tomorrow afternoon.
And we will also post it on the weekly bulletin. So in case you ever miss something or you accidentally deleted it, we always have a fail-safe with somewhere else where you can go to get that information. All right. So even if you don't need a computer, if you need your login information, you can come get that. We are also passing out supplies. Okay. We know that you're at home and you may have different needs there. Typically, our teachers have 99% of the work done on their computer. So you don't really need pencils or paper. We are trying to get dry erase boards, but they have become out of stock or cost prohibitive. So we are going to have a dry erase surface that you can pick up with a sheet protector and cardstock so you can write on there. And if a teacher asks you to show something, you can show it to the screen. So if you don't have those, please come. I believe we may not. The dry erase pens are also on back order. So we will get them and we will have more distribution days as we go through, particularly on Wednesdays when we don't have school or at the end of the day to pick up supplies. If you need anything, please stop by. We want to make sure that you have what you need at home. Okay. You can also wait to the beginning of school because your teachers might say, hey, I really need this. If you need it, we will also provide it. We want to make sure that everybody has what they need because normally a lot of those basic supplies we have here. So if you need it, please show up on Monday or sign up on Monday or Tuesday. So I'm going to show you the schedule for the first 3 days of school. Okay. And, our teachers have a lot of different topics to talk to you about. And really, we want to get people acclimated to getting back. A lot of the etiquette that goes along with attending a class or sending an email or how to interact or how to use breakout rooms, how to do a lot of the things that, last year some teachers were doing and some weren't, and some kids did really well and others didn't. We want to help you. So instead of the regular schedule, you'll be going to your advisory for the first 3 days for 2 40-minute blocks. Okay. And then Thursday, the same thing. And then Friday, the same thing. The distance learning schedule will start the regular one on Monday, August 24th. Okay. Now, after school programs, we do have JCYC, and they are working out the details of the after school program because the hours have changed. We are now out of school at 1 p.m. I also, the enrollment and capacity of all of their program, we are working out a virtual enrollment and virtual, like what the max capacity is in a room. But typically last year they provided up to 2 hours of tutoring support Monday through Thursday. Okay, and we want to make sure students get the help that they need. That is essential here. Okay, if capacity is hitting its limits, we will look at other programs. The ACES program that we do have funding for, there are different requirements and attendance that is complicating things, especially in the middle school level. So I do not have a plan for that now. Right now, you would be signing up for JCYC, and that would be if you needed tutoring support. This year, we are excited. We are going to try and do some after-school enrichment classes. I know I talked to one teacher who during the day does some coding with students in an elective, but he also wanted to offer to other students who do not have that elective. So we may be offering some other things after school that if you would like to, we will set up signups for that. And so that you have other activities during this pandemic. All right. If you need the internet, okay, we need you to have it. Simple as that. This site here goes through all the different things like Comcast. I also sent out an email earlier about Sonic. If you are going to get internet from there, great. There's some low-cost alternatives. But if you're not and you do not have internet, I need you to click on the request a hotspot. That's also on our weekly bulletin. And you need to get it before school starts. I need you to request it ASAP. A hotspot basically provides an internet signal for your device and then the devices around you. So if you're in a family and you have a sibling at just say JFK or SBA or George Washington, if you get the hotspot and they have a computer, they can also log in. You don't need 2 hotspots. If a family is large enough and it's becoming an issue, just say there's 4 siblings and the capacity isn't large enough, we will get you another one, but you want to communicate that with us. It's really essential that the hotspot is free and will get you what you need so you can attend class. If you're having a problem with anything, you got to let us also know right away. All right. I mentioned this a little bit. People asked, what are the recommended supplies? There's recommended supplies for in-school, which we will provide, or for distance learning. And then there's also in case we come back, because sometimes you need different things, like graph paper and things. So it is listed there. We are trying to procure a lot of these items since they're in short demand, since everybody's in the same exact thing, and trying to provide things for everybody at home. But you can also, if you have the means, you can also go out and purchase them yourselves. There are a lot of sales out there. As mentioned before, we will have a pickup on Monday and Tuesday. And then if you need a textbook, okay, all textbooks are online and you'll get access to that. That's part of our job, is to make sure you get in there and find them and have all that. But if you would like a physical textbook, and you can email Ms. Jennings and just let her know, and we will get that textbook. And if we get it soon, we may have those ready for you to pick up on Monday or Tuesday. Otherwise, we will arrange a time during the week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday for you to stop by. Okay. Ms. Jennings.
All right. So for our returning students, you guys know that we've had our Spark expectations for a couple years now. That's safe, positive, academic, responsible, and kind. We are hoping that if and when we return to in person, that we can do a lot more with our Spark store and having some student shirts and gear and things like that display our Spark expectations. But for the time being, being at home, we are asking that you guys continue to uphold these expectations just like you would in person. The safe and positive academic, responsible, and kind. All of these things are just, they go across the board. They can be, being responsible in your Zoom calls with your teachers, being safe when you're on the internet. So all of these things, although we're not going to be in person right now, they really do carry over into at-home learning. And we ask that you guys did a great job doing these things last year and in years past. And so we just ask that this continues on while we're at home.
Thank you, Ms. Jennings. Grading. So I tell students are usually aware of where to find their grades, but for parents, it is really essential that you go in and check your students' grades. We ask our teachers here to update their grades at least every 2 weeks, and some of them do it every couple days. It is really essential, if you've not signed up for the portal, that you get access. A lot of people call and say, how's my student doing? My big question is how do you not know how your student's doing? Because you can look online and see their grades. We used to do a progress report. We no longer do a progress report, just a report card. Because the progress is every day. The moment you go on there and you see that the grade changed from a B+ to an A-, that's a progress report. If it dropped, that's a progress report. You know what's going on. It's really essential that you go there. Now, when we left in March to go shelter in place, we did change the grading, and we are switching back to regular letter grades, A, B, C, D, F. It is essential that you are doing all of your work and trying your best, okay? We know that there are different situations that are going on and that some of this is really tough for students and families, but we want to make sure that you are doing as well as you can in your classes and there will be no marks, okay? So I'm going to be turning it over to Ms. Ramoran in just a moment. She can start speaking, but here's the website for the the Parent Teacher Student Organization of TRP. And then she prepared a little slideshow.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Turner, for giving me a few minutes to make a quick introduction to the PTSO. For those of you who don't know, my name is Therese Ramoran. I have a daughter in the 7th grade at TRP. I'm actually also a proud alumni of TRP and have served in the TRP PTSO for 4 years now, as I just had an 8th grader graduate last year. This would be the 2nd year that I served as PTSO. Our mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and the community to advocate for all kids. I do have a few goals. You can go to the next slide. Of course, most of you guys know what the PTSO is about. The main idea for these organizations is to raise money for school events and other extracurricular activities. But we do have some goals here, which is to provide support for cultural and educational programs at TRP, promote safe social activities that heighten school spirit, encourage family togetherness, and promote humanitarian efforts within our community, increase interest, involvement, understanding, and awareness of the PTSO. We also want to encourage and organize volunteer support for the school and PTS programs and events, and conduct purposeful fundraising to support programs and events which align with our mission statement of advocating for our students. Some of the past events that we've done is the annual walkathon. Obviously, we don't know if that's going to happen this year, but that's one of the more popular things that we've done. We've done teacher appreciation lunches. Although we were practicing social distancing this past May during Teacher Appreciation Week, we still were able to engage students in showing appreciation to the teachers virtually, and as well as provide Grubhub gift cards to the teachers and staff at TRP.
Thank you very much.
We also help supply, yeah, okay.
I was saying thank you. I appreciated that.
Okay. Some ideas for this year that I was kind of throwing around is a virtual talent show, virtual career day, and TRP PTSO merchandise. Again, we'll propose that during our meetings. We can go to the next slide. Again, you can visit us at www.trpptso.com. You can click join in the menu bar and become part of the PTSO. It'll take you to a form where you just fill out your information, name, your student's name, and things like that. Next slide. And then we're also on Instagram and Facebook. So be sure to like and follow us, and feel free to connect through to us through the direct messaging on Instagram or Facebook Messenger. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, trojanptso@gmail.com. And then here's our handles for Instagram and Facebook.
Thank you so much.
And also
You're
just
welcome.
a big thing, you know, for us, and we ask families if you're able to attend, we do, and here's the meeting dates here, but every couple months or so we do meet, and of course the first few, most likely all of them, will be virtually. But we do ask that as many families as possible attend. You guys can really help, you know, decide things for the school, and kind of be the first usually in the know of what's going on, even before we tell the rest of our TRP families. So please join. It doesn't cost anything. There are opportunities to, you know, donate or give money to the school, but the big part really is just being as involved as possible for your middle schoolers. Thank you.
Absolutely. And as you can see here, it's talking about the School Site Council and English Language Advisory Committee. These are two different committees that basically help decide. The School Site Council helps decide how funds are spent at school and reviews what we're doing and how they're spent, and what progress we're, you know, how basically we're doing on each different aspect of it, and then trying to figure out how to spend the money more efficiently or better for the next year. We do have one parent opening for this. I will be sending home nomination forms via email. Once we have a slate of candidates, or sometimes just one, you will then have to vote on that, and we'll do that virtually too. First time we've ever done it, so we'll see. And we'll try our best there. The English Language Advisory Committee is, our goal is to have English language learner families attend and, you know, give input into different things that can help their learners. A lot of times, you know, families are a wealth of information and resources, and they can help us understand what the needs are versus us thinking about what the needs are. So here are the tentative dates. Obviously, with this pandemic, anything can change, but obviously you'll get information about that. But they are all via Zoom, okay? All right, I did talk about breakfast and lunch. Breakfast and lunch service is being finalized. The projected pickup at the Pollicita gym is Tuesday, you would pick up 2 days of meals, and Thursday you would pick up 3 days of meals. So on Tuesday, if you wanted lunch and breakfast, you could go there and say, I just want 2 lunches, and you would pay for 2 lunches. If you got free meals, you could pick up 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches on a Tuesday, and 3 breakfasts and 3 lunches on a Thursday. Okay, if you do pay for meals, you can pick them up. You have to give them your, everybody who goes there has to give their permanent ID number. If you don't know that, you just give them your name. But if you go there, and a lot of you I know put money on your My School Bucks account, they usually charge you like a $2.75 fee. The good thing is that the district is waiving that fee, and we are actually paying the fee through December 18th. So I know a lot of people do need lunches, and we're paying for them. If you do, you can still do that. You can pay for it online, and we are waiving those fees. Okay. For the first day of school, which starts on a Wednesday, I believe there may be a pickup here. So stay tuned. I do need to make sure and I finalize all the details of the lunch service, because we want to make sure students have food. Okay.
Can I reiterate something, Mr. Turner? So students, if you or your family picked up food anytime from March until June, it was free for everyone. They didn't usually ask your name. They didn't need any information. You could just tell them how many students were in your house, and you got that amount of food. It is no longer free unless you already qualify for free lunch. So if you remember back in last year, if you went in and you had free lunch or reduced lunch, that's what you would pay. If you had to pay full price at $275, it's going to be $275 again. So there's no longer going up there and getting free food for anyone in your household. Okay, so it's only for you or your siblings if they're in our district, and you have to pay whatever it is that you qualify for. So it's either free, reduced price, or the full price. So just keep that in mind. And at the bottom there, it does have the website. And like Mr. Turner said, you go on there, you put in your perm ID, your parents can put money in that account. There's no fee for putting the money in the account. And that way it's very, very fast. After school's over, you can drive over or walk over and pick up your food for those days.
And we are working, because I know a lot of you have siblings, of trying to coordinate so you just do one pickup, but we are working out those details, okay? All right. I know one of the popular things for you 7th and 8th graders has been the uniforms, and I hate to tell you that we are not having uniforms this year, regardless of whether we return to campus. The main reason for this is that we need you to have fresh clothes every day if possible, if you are returning to school. And we want to make sure that there's no obstacle of, oh, I didn't have a clean pair of pants or uniform or anything like that. So there are no uniforms this year. Okay.
However, there will be a dress code. If we return to school in person, we will be sure to remind students and families of our dress code. So, we don't have to stick to the colors and the button-up shirts and all of that, but there will still be a dress code or rules in a sense to follow in regards to what you can and can't wear to school, but that will come at a later time.
All right. And believe it or not, that's all the information. I know Ms. Jennings has been fielding some Q&As. Was there anything that that popped up that was recurring or anything like that? If you have a question right now, it might be good to go into the Q&A and we can stick around a little bit and we can answer any questions that people have.
So one question, most of them I answered privately because they were more of a personal question. A couple people had questions still about the distance learning schedule. I know this is going to be posted later. Can we also do some way to share with families so they maybe can print it or have like it always up to show exactly what classes are on each day?
What we can also do is we can print it out, and what we can do is have it for pickup on Monday and Tuesday. And we'll have a packet of information there. Probably not give you the hybrid one right now so you don't get confused because I don't want you looking at the wrong one. Absolutely. And let me share my screen again and see if I can go back there.
While you're doing that, so there is I'll start answering these questions. So someone asked about lockers. Good question. We will not be using lockers when we return unless we really see a need for them. One of the big things is that if and when we return to school, our passing periods and your break times are going to be a lot different than they were that you probably remember from last year. In years past, that bell rang, you had 3 minutes to quickly hustle to your next class and you passed by 200 kids probably. It is not going to be like that when we return. Almost everything is still going to be done online. We can do a case-by-case basis with lockers, or if students need a place to store things, possibly like a skateboard and things like that. But to answer your question, lockers will not be used for the foreseeable future.
And if by some chance, those of you 8th graders, we don't come back, or, we will find a time for you to come and get those things. We are still working out details of like picture day. How does that work? Coming on campus, what does that look like? Are we having it? A lot of those guidelines are will be dependent on the framework and how many people are allowed here. And right now, there are not a lot of people allowed on campus to be in a group. So that does prohibit it.
All right, so a couple other questions here that I think are important to answer live. question about textbooks. Will they be online? So if your child prefers a hardback textbook, we are asking that you fill out the survey that Mr. Turner had sent out in an email, or you can just email us separately and say, my child prefers a textbook where they can, turn the pages. Otherwise, the Study Sync, which is the language arts program, all of that is completely online. But if your child wants the social studies book or the science book or any other kind of textbook they can hold in their hands, you just need to let us know. And we will set that up to hopefully have those passed out next week or within the first week of school.
Yeah, most students, I'll be honest, haven't been using that. They've used the textbook online. Even when our social studies curriculum, before we had an online version, we had access to it, and students were using that and not bringing textbooks back and forth. Most students are pretty good at navigating through those programs. And in fact, they probably like it a little bit easier because they can annotate and highlight things right there on the screen that they can't always do in the physical textbook. It's like writing on the computer in the textbook, but not having the textbook there.
Mr. Turner, I can touch on this, but you may know a little more. So a good question from a parent about the decision to have students move classes versus teachers moving classes. Do you want to touch on that, or I can?
Yes. So there is a lot of concern from families about students moving classes. And whether the teacher during a passing period or not would be able to sanitize the classroom. Right now we have hour periods of classes, and if we found that we needed more than 5 minutes, we might adjust the schedule. But a teacher may, within the last few minutes of class, be cleaning something. But 5 minutes is actually a pretty long time if you're using a wipe and you're going around. Remember, each class has a maximum, I believe at our school, of 16 desks, and there's really nothing else in the classroom. They are pretty Spartan. I don't know if you attended the training, but they did show a picture of a classroom. There are very few. I mean, it does not look like an enriching environment, but it is. There are not a lot of surfaces to clean. Our teachers have to agree to do the cleaning in between because we cannot have a custodian go in between. If they do not, then we would actually rotate teachers as is suggested. If we found that we could not clean them adequately, then I would suggest that we not move students. So right now, that is our thought. I've not had students here. I've not had teachers here. I do want to say when we first return back on campus, students will not be going to all their classes right away. We will keep them in what's considered a bubble where they may stay in their advisory and attend these other classes for a few days online. And so we can practice some of those things like how to walk through the hallway, how to come on campus, how we clean the classrooms in between. And if we're noticing, hey, I need 10 minutes, then we're going to have to adjust our schedule because we want to be as safe as possible.
I also want to just remind families that with the virtual school option, that obviously takes away a pretty big chunk of students who are not going to be on campus at all this year. So with the remaining students, you have to imagine those remaining students then cut in half. So half of the students for hybrid will be here 2 days a week and the other half 2 days a week. So if you've ever been, on campus and you see the hallways in a normal school day of 700 kids, it does get to be crazy. I'm imagining now with so many less students on campus, and like Mr. Turner said, it's not going to be, oh, we return this day and all of a sudden everything goes back to normal. It will not be like that at all. There'll be staggered times for breaks. There'll be staggered times for bathrooms, staggered times for kids coming into school, most likely by grade level, and things like that. So the precautions definitely have to be there. And we have to practice them and get good at them before we do allow, masks. There goes Mr. Turner. We wear masks here in the office usually every day. My door's closed now, but we wear them here. Students will be wearing them too. So
Yeah,
Just
students
for parents thinking like, wow, I can't imagine my kid going back. What's it going to look like? There's going to be a lot of practice on the adults' part and on the students' part before we are, I guess, back to, fully hybrid where all the students are coming on those 2 days. So I know there'll be some more questions about that. I'll move on for now, but yeah,
So
if you ever
on the
have questions about the cleaning protocols or how that works, the district does have a lot of information on that.
I do want to say for the masks, make sure when you come on campus to pick up items, you may see somebody taking your temperature. You do need to wear a mask and you do need to stay 6 feet apart. And masks, a reminder, are worn above the nose, not down here. Okay, so making sure you do that.
In regards to masks too, someone was asking about masks versus face shield. So for now, we are requiring the mask. If your child or you want to do both, that is your decision. But the mask that covers the nose and the mouth is what we are requiring for them when we do return to school. If you want the face shield as well, that is up to you. We do ask that you provide these things for your student. If your student forgot a face mask, we'll have a small supply, but it should be the cloth kind or I usually, just use the blue reusable ones as well, whatever your preference is for wearing for extended periods of time. But not the face shield only. So face mask only or both, but not face shield only. That's only in addition to.
I saw another question here about when will you know your teacher? That, as I mentioned before, on Monday, hopefully we'll have that posted online. That does depend on the other middle schools though also. Do I know how many students are going virtual versus hybrid? I believe it's a little under, probably about 30% are going virtual. Maybe about 30, a little bit, maybe right around there, just off the top of my head. It is an individual choice and we want people to feel comfortable with that choice. It is possible that in the hybrid version, we are at distance the whole year. That is a possibility. I don't know, and my hope is to get kids back here, but I just want everybody to be safe. And if you are somebody who's from the virtual and you were just like, hey, I'm still deciding, or I really need to, I wanted to see what was said, I want you to make a choice that's right for you and your family. Every family has different levels. Some people have not left since March, once we went in shelter in place, have not left the house. Other families are using safety precautions, meeting out or going outside, staying 6 feet away with the mask on, and they feel comfortable with that. There's another question here about how long, or about particles being airborne, and it doesn't seem safe to change classrooms. We will take guidance from the CDE, which is really, if that's one of their recommendations, then we will not move classes. I know that some schools have returned to class, I think in Georgia and other places. And there's probably a lot of learning that's going on from those different instances. I think one of the big things is are places requiring students to wear masks? Are students wearing masks? And I think, especially here in the Bay Area, I see a lot of people with a lot of compliance. In our office, if you come in, you're not gonna be able to see us smile. I don't have one of those with a little thing there, but we are all wearing a mask. If we're not, it's just by mistake, but we are really, I'd say 99.9%, really adhering to these things and trying our best. And we know that the students will need that. We will provide some training for them and practice. How do
There
I
were
get
a couple questions about chargers only.
If you don't have them, bring the charger and the computer back. We may have a charger. I gotta check. Otherwise, we will get you another computer.
The computers and chargers go together. So I was trying to explain to one parent, if your charger is missing or lost, then obviously you can't bring back the broken one, but the charger and the computer go together. So we can't just give you a charger necessarily, but if you bring your computer, we can give you a new computer and a charger, most likely. I know we didn't touch too much on this, and we'll do it more for 6th grade, but for the computers, bringing them in next week when you sign up for that time, if you have any issue with the computer or issue with the charger, we will try our best to make that happen.
I don't see any more questions, but I'll hang on here for a moment. But a lot of you have reached out via text. Some of you've seen I text now using my Google Voice number. A lot of emails, a lot of conversations. People have questions, and I'm trying to answer them all. And I want back to that question about coming back to school. If I want people to feel comfortable with that we are coming back when it's safe. Okay. I do not want to return to school if we are not safe. I want to be safe for myself, for my staff, for my family, for your family, and for the community. Okay. And if there is leeway that if we don't feel we can do that, then different schools may delay starts or do things differently. Okay. I 100% sure want to be 100% sure that we can be as safe as possible. Okay.
And the reason for someone had asked earlier, the reason for this, why we decided 6 weeks at a minimum, I think there was some confusion. Some kids thought we're coming back after 6 weeks at home. That is not the case. There is no in-person start date set. The school board at one of the meetings decided at that time to set it for 6 weeks. That was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, with the hope that in 8 weeks' time, that numbers would decrease and continue to decline, and we would get off the watch list or stay off the watch list. So just saying it again, we don't have a return date in person. Over the next 4 weeks or so, we'll continue to be in communication with the health department, and they guide us. And then we go to the school board and we go to our teachers and things, and then decisions are made. But for the time being, everyone is starting online for a minimum of 6 weeks. And then from there, you'll hear more. And I see a lot of questions popping up now.
So electives. Let me explain a little bit about how kids are scheduled this year. Kids are scheduled and they stay in the same class all day with the same group of students, whether they are at distance or in person. So if you were to start out in your advisory, you stay with that advisory and those kids only all day.
I can give an example real quick if you want, Mr. Turner. So for example, 7th graders, and this is not all 7th grade. This is a group of 7th graders that are chosen for this section. You might start with math. 15 kids. Remember, in person, when we return, there'll only be 15 kids at the most. Distance, you'll have 30 kids in your class. So when you log on to Zoom, you'll see 30 kids in your math Zoom class. But when we were to return in person, you would only have half of them here at a time. So you might start with math. That same group then is going to go to 2nd period PE. Then that same group is going to go to 3rd and 4th period language arts. That same group then goes to lunch, the same group to science, to social studies, and then to their elective. So for this line, your elective would be computers. That's just one line I'm looking at on our schedule. Doesn't mean that's what your schedule you have, but for an example, you will move classes, but you will really get to know that third group of 30 kids or 15 kids in person because you're going to be with them all day in a line. Sort of hard to comprehend. It's not like how it was for your 6th or 7th grade year. It's hard for me. Mr. Turner has had to train me to think this way. It's not easy. Yeah. So if you have scheduling questions, you call me. You don't have to bore the parents right now because it's really hard for, parents don't need to know this part as much, but for students, just know it is going to look a lot different. And for the person that asked that question, unfortunately, your first choice of an elective, it's very possible you're not going to get your first choice. For 7th graders, I just say next year in 8th grade, we're all hoping to be back to normal and you can get that dance class or that, drama. But for this year, it's very possible you will have an elective that is not your top choice.
Once again, if you need a charger or a computer, we are sending out a sign up. So please look out for that. I do want to thank all the parents and people out there who are thanking us because we are trying our best. And if we make mistakes or I'm sending too many emails or things like that, or we are not communicating as best as we can, please let us know. We are definitely trying the best that we can. Okay.
Question about the after school program. At the time right now, go ahead. Did you want to answer?
I was going to say JCYC is the only program that we're offering. at this time.
And there will be a new JCYC leader, and that person will be reaching out to families, and we'll figure out how many students can attend. And when I say attend, that means virtually. So there'll be like tutoring and homework help and things like that. So we will be giving out more information. The program usually starts after Labor Day, once the school year really gets kicking in.
And the reason why we did not renew with Think Together is because we have certain minimums that we need with some of the funding. And if we are coming back in person, we weren't sure if we could meet any of those minimums, and we would be out of compliance and lose the money. So we wanted to make sure that we're doing things right. Once we get going in the school year, we will see how that works with the funding, and if they've relaxed any of the guidelines.
And one last question here, and we'll let you guys go. Once again, so by Tuesday afternoon, fingers crossed, by Tuesday afternoon, the parent portal, Mr. Turner says Monday, I'm saying Tuesday, before Wednesday, the parent portal and the student portal, you should be able to access your student's schedule. So we don't have everybody scheduled right now, so it's not up. But as before Wednesday, you will see your schedule and your teachers. It'll look like a normal schedule in regards to your classes. Okay, but we don't have that yet. You will get it before Wednesday.
And remember, all you're going to need to look at is your advisory class. And we are going to basically be shooting you emails and all that information about how you get to that class. It'll be posted on the weekly bulletin with all the Zoom codes, so you can make your way to that class. Okay, because otherwise you don't know how to get there. And you're only staying in that advisory for the first 3 days. So your teachers can help you go, how do I do this? Well, how does the schedule look? I'm only seeing it online. It's not on paper. Normally on the first few days of school, we have kids lost everywhere. And we want to make sure that doesn't happen, especially virtually. Okay. I do want to just say thank you to everybody who attended. There is another one coming up for 6th graders and new students. So you can always show up to that. A lot of the same information. But if you have other questions, don't wait for that. You can even email us now, and we can definitely answer those questions for you. And I just want to thank everybody that attended with me. So thank you and hosted this meeting with me, and especially our district office tech staff for everything that they're doing, and Ms. Quintanilla for providing Spanish translation. The first one in our district. We are trendsetters here. So big thank you to everybody. All right.
Thank you, guys.